2026. And first things first, an in-person forum is required for a committee to do our work. And we do have an in-person forum, and yay! And we do have a hybrid meeting policy. And if anyone on committee is going to be virtual, there is a form that you have to fill out to do online. But that doesn't mean you are able to vote. Char.
I am able.
Hello.
No, that was a welcome, Charles.
That was welcome. I was messing up here. We are live streaming on YouTube, and we are being recorded. We'll live there forever. If this is, are we live streaming? Are we live streaming? Nelly?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, on YouTube, yeah, there it is.
Perfect. If this is your first time coming to a meeting, what happens is we have a presenter, then the committee speaks and we ask questions or make comments about things, and then the public will speak and ask questions, and then it goes back to, and if you are in the public and you do want to speak on something, you need to raise your hand on an issue. And I see someone already raising their hand. Sweet. If you're raising your hand, I. 49th Street. Oh, okay. Thank you for pointing that out. So Nelly, I think we're going to have to bring that person over for our first.
Oh, town.
Yeah. The other thing is, where was I? What usually happens after our presentation is sometimes what the committee does is we vote on something, and it will go to full board of the following month, where full board actually votes on whatever resolution or letter we put forward. And if you're not part of the listserv, the CB4 listserv, I always encourage people to sign up so you can get agendas and see what's happening in the community. And very quickly, what I would like to do is just go around the room. Again, Maria Ortiz, co-chair.
Trevor Stuccia, co-chair, Housing and Human Services.
Kevin Collins, committee member.
Roberta Barnett, committee member.
John Danielle Nolan. Charles Montoya Archer, committee member. Brian Sloan, committee member.
Matthew Klein, committee member.
Lisa David, committee member.
Paul Aiden, public member.
Katie Stokes, committee member. Katie Savage, committee member. Rachel Lee, committee member. And we have Pete here. Oh, and we have someone else, Pete Diaz, who just stepped out of the room and online. Travis
Travis Rogers, public member.
and,
Dolores Rubin.
all right, Dolores, good to see you. Again, and so the first item on the.
Before we adopt the agenda, we have a few items.
49th Street, just Liana is also.
Yes. Can you bring Leona Harrington over, Nellie? So we need to adopt the agenda, but we have some requests for some additional items. Kevin?
Sure, thanks. Thanks, Joe. On the new business, I'd like to just give an update pertaining to Mount Sinai selling the nurses and Anthem health insurance. And then secondarily to discuss a potential motion and letter dealing with the transgender, gender affirming healthcare issues that come up.
And also we need to add on a quick report of a meeting Maria and I had today, a briefing regarding a proposal for affordable housing at 515 West 43rd Street. With those additions to the agenda, can I have a motion to adopt the amended agenda? Charles, second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now we're gonna move to West 49th Street. Christian, turn your camera on. And nice to see you back again. Liana, nice to see you back again. And Town, nice to see you back again. So Christian, take us away as to where we are this month.
Where we are this month. Well, thank you, and appreciate, nice to see everyone again. So I'll start by saying we've had continued conversations and dialogue with the Tenant Association, which Tao and Liana are involved with and leading. So we appreciate that conversation and dialogue, and our intent is to continue to do that monthly. So I was not able to join the last one, but my associates, Gabe Stone and Dino, the property manager, were. I would say that unfortunately, there have been several issues on the mechanical side. We had ruptured pipe that affected the water to several of the buildings, which was unfortunate, of course, and further made an issue because a lot of other buildings in the city were experiencing the same thing due to the drastic weather conditions. I was happy to report that we were able to bring that up within several days, although it was a difficult task. But we did keep Liana and the Tenant Association Board and the tenants aware of it during that time. Obviously, I wish it didn't happen, but it did. So, and when it did, we addressed it. It was a challenge, but further to that, we've also had several boilers that needed attention and repair, which we've addressed as well. But yeah, we've unfortunately had several of those items come up. Thankfully, I would say that we're getting towards the end and the shoulder of that season altogether. So we had a pretty good run for the majority of the winter, but I think with the extreme conditions, it posed to be a real challenge. So I just want to be upfront with everyone that we did have that, but everything has been addressed and we're keeping an eye on it and monitoring that. Outside of that, though, we do have we're well underway in leasing to those vacant units that we have. We have 19 applications that are currently in process. We have other turns that are ongoing, and those units should be ready and then also leased as well. I would say that I did provide a copy of the aftercare services that one of the agencies provides to the tenants. So hopefully that was shared. If there's any questions that I can relay back to that agency, I'm happy to do that. But overall, I think we're making good progress, and again, I think it's been a collaborative effort with the tenant association. Hopefully, that sentiment is felt with their side as well, and obviously looking forward to hearing Liana and Tao's thoughts on that.
Hey, Liana and Tao. Tao, want to go first?
Yes, thank you, Christian, for that. I will agree that there have been a lot of issues with the whole heating hot water system, and hopefully that will not be ongoing. I will give New Amsterdam props because you guys have been good at sending out notices to the tenants. In regards to the extermination services, because I know that has been an ongoing problem with like rodents, right? And I very much appreciate that you guys have extended your hours to accommodate people's, like people are working 9 to 5 and they're not available, so you guys are available on the weekends. I think that's still an ongoing issue, and I think that's something we should talk about, because I think that what I have witnessed in the past month is a slide on the garbage management, I think, which has led to rodent activity, which both Leanna and I have been hearing about from tenants, right? In terms of like rodents like dying, and the smell, I mean, we're talking about the smell of like desiccating rodents, in basements, between walls, I don't know what, right? I think that is something that has to be addressed immediately, right? But beside that, like the trash management, it seems to me has gone by the wayside. But yes, I mean, in my building alone, in 9 days, we had I didn't have heat and hot water in 5 times in 9 days. And I will give you guys kudos because you guys did respond very, very promptly, right? But why is it that we have, during a period when it's really cold, why do we not have hot water and heat 5 times over the course of 9 days? And we've talked about it in the last meeting, with Dino and with Gabe. And I think there needs to be some I think there needs, once it happens, I get you send the super, but like sending super, second time, third time, I think that needs to be revisited, that practice. But beyond that, I think that right now, what we really need to look at least from the tenant's perspective, from what was bubbling up to me, is the rodent issue and the smell of like basically, like decaying rodents, in between the walls. That cannot be good.
Oh, Liana?
Yeah, I support everything that Tao just said. I think that I had a bit of a follow-up question after the last tenant management meeting, which was that Gabe had shared that usually if there's an issue with a boiler, they call the boiler company first. And then when Dino hopped in later, it was like actually super checks first and then they call the boiler company. So I think maybe some clarification on what the process actually is when tenants are reporting issues with the boilers. I know we're ideally, fingers crossed, hopefully heading into a warmer season where this will be less of an issue. But just want to clarify while there's still snow on the ground and it's cold out, what that looks like. And then seconding Town's questions around trash management and the odors in the hallways that we've been getting a lot of reports from tenants about.
Yeah, so for the boilers, sometimes depending on the issue with the boiler, what will happen first, of course, is that the super will go right away because the super is on site and can go check it, and sometimes is able to actually adjust the setting or restart the boiler so that it can function. But very quickly, if that doesn't work, then the protocol thereafter is to call the vendor right away. So what that does is that the super tries the fix, because sometimes he is able to fix it, so that we're not waiting for the vendor for something that the super can do easily. Now, if the super is not able to do that, then the vendor is called still, and the vendor comes out, and the repair can be done. So hopefully that clarifies that a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, so let's go back to the heat and hot water issues. So you are not alone across the city on having frozen pipes or burst pipes, obviously. I will tell you from Clinton Housing and from my office, we had 22 pipes burst in buildings that were fully heated, right? That's how extreme this was. So it's something very out of the ordinary. Do you have remote monitoring on your boilers at this location?
We do. We use a
Okay.
system called RunWise, and we're able to boost the heating as necessary, and we monitor that on a daily basis.
And so you have monitors in the top floor units, you're able to check the temperature, see what's going on, and it also can check the various parts of the system to see what's working or not working. So that in fact gives you the early warning to deal with it. Now, normally I will say that I have a similar system that when we get information, we don't send a super because we'll communicate right to the boiler company to say, here's what the problem is, come out and deal with it. And we found that to be much more efficient, Christian, because the systems are telling us what the problems are. So I just recommend you look at your process and procedure, because that'll get the heat back on sooner. Now, Tao, in the case of a burst pipe, that will take time because there's a lot of folks back and forth on this. But in the past month or 2 months, how many days did you have heat beyond the 5 out of the 9? Or were there more times of that heat?
No, I would say it's been very good, actually.
Good.
It's been very good. It was just like 2 weeks ago where, on a Sunday, 3 times it went out. And again, I'm gonna give props to New Amsterdam because it was, you guys responded to it within like an hour and a half, 2 hours, right? I reported at noon, then at 3 p.m. it was out again. It was on, and then at 3 p.m. I reported it out, then 9 p.m. and then right? And then the next day it was out again, right? And then in the past week though, the water has been tepid. So we're talking about the whole issue of well, yeah, I know the whole drill, which is let the water run when you take a shower for like 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, right? To get it warm. And then you get in and 5 minutes into it, it's now not even lukewarm, it's tepid, but thankfully, it's not freezing cold. So you can finish your shower. And then, a few days ago, it was in the middle of the night when I had to use hot water And because my dog, puked in the middle of the night and I had to clean up after him, and there was no hot water. So it's kind of like, well, what's the situation? What's the settings? I have no idea.
So Christian, from a technical point of view, do you have separate hot water heaters, or are your boilers all producing the hot water at the same time?
Boilers are producing it.
Okay, so it's just a boiler problem then, right? If there's a problem with hot water, and it could be a mixing valve, it could be something in the boiler, it could be something
Correct.
very specific. So I think it'd be helpful if the board will ask you to sort of like respond back. You do an overall check on all your boilers and tell us where you are with them. The more you get methodical, the less problems all of us have.
I'm
Right.
I'm happy to share all the work we've done on it and the checks we've done on it and the tune-ups. So yeah, I think but and I also appreciate Tao saying that we did respond quickly, because that I think that's a big part of it too. It's very unfortunate, and I agree, like, that it shouldn't go out that often in that short span of time, but I'm happy we brought it to where it brought it back to service. But again, it was just one of those things where I think for the majority of the heating season, we went without much of an issue, and then of course we just got hit very hard. But we can provide that, and I'll make sure that I just want to clarify one thing though. On the when we check our settings on the boiler, if we see that something's happening where the boiler is not going to the appropriate temp, then we will send someone. Usually it's an issue that the boiler is just kind of quickly like shutting off, and so that's when the super will go check it and try to reset it. And if that doesn't work immediately, again, the vendor is being called in. So I don't want to make it seem that the vendor's not there. That's what thankfully they've responded to us quickly on the weekends and everything like that. We have a good relationship with them, and they adhere to our needs. So but we'll keep monitoring it.
Dolores has a question.
So Christian, I don't know if you're aware, crime is picked up on that block again. There were tenants from the building across the street from your properties that have reported that there are footprints that are visible again on the roofs. And so there is a possibility that you may have some security breaches again with folks that are moving in between your buildings. This was reported at this month's Midtown North Precinct Council from folks that live in Worldwide Plaza. So if you're not aware, you may want to check that security again and ensure that those, not only that the doors on the roof are locked, but that you don't have anyone that is entering your apartments for some of your vacant apartments.
I thank you for that note. I don't have any reports of items that needed to be addressed. But I will speak with the team immediately about it. I'm thinking perhaps it could be one of our team members checking the roofs. This was during the snow time, I'm assuming. So it could have been us checking the roofs, but I will make a note to make sure that it was us and that it wasn't someone else.
Yeah, it was also coinciding with an uptick of crime on that block, and so it got a lot of folks nervous.
Dolores, can you detail roughly what kinds of incidents? Approximately.
There were some folks that got jumped on the block. That's specifically on that block, but I think that the thing that alarmed most of the folks is that from Worldwide Plaza is they were seeing the pattern across all the different buildings, not just that it was footprints on one building, but going across the buildings that adjoin each other.
Okay. I will. Yeah, I'll take that right away, and we'll look into that.
Can you speak to the two items, the rodents and the extermination, and then the garbage management?
I mean, I will say that yes. So we've extended our service on the extermination. Unfortunately, I wasn't attending the last meeting with the TA, so I wasn't aware that it was an issue with the smells. But I am very aware now, and I'll make sure that we address that. And with the trash management as well. So I apologize. I don't have backup or anything to maybe add to that, but just that I'm receiving the message, and we'll look into that right away.
Pete, you had a question?
Yeah, coming back to the boilers, are the tenants getting the heat in the apartments? They are getting it.
Tal? The question is, in
Sorry,
general.
I'm sorry, I did not catch that question clearly, so could you
Are
please
you getting
repeat?
Heat, in the apartment?
When the boilers are working.
Yeah, when the boilers are working, when the boilers are working, there's a question like,
Are you getting heat?
yes.
Yes.
But I mean, but it's you know, goes hand in hand, right? When I've noticed that the heat is not when I've noticed the hot water is not there, the heat, like, you know, the pipes are not warm.
So, yeah, no,
So it seems to me that they're like, it seems to me, but you know, I only have two pipes by which to touch in order to, in order to determine if the heat is working or not.
You don't hear it?
Oh, hold on, Pete, I want to remind the committee members, you must speak into the microphone, otherwise you can't be heard.
Are you hearing any clanking in the pipes, in the radiators?
I don't have pipes. I don't have radiators. I only have like, I'm sorry, I don't have radiators, so I only have like, you know, a wall, like a ceiling to floor pipe, which I have to touch in order to tell if it's warm or not.
That's
which
called a steam
indicates to me
riser,
that's
we're all
heat,
very
right?
familiar with those.
Yeah, right. But I don't have an actual radiator. But yeah, when the hot water has not been on, like the pipe, you know, the pipes have not been warm. So
When was the last time that the owner bled the pipes? Or the
when was the last
radiator?
time the owner did what with the pipe?
We'll have to look at.
Pete, you gotta talk here.
When was the last time that the landlord bled the pipes?
Never since I've lived here in 5 years, almost 5 years.
So what Pete is referring to, it's a matter of air valves, and in the steam system, it's bleeding the air valves and shaking the water out of them. So Christian, that's a normal thing the super should do. And it's normally top of riser, or if there's a radiator, the actual radiator air valve, they do a shut off on the radiator, take the air valve off and shake the water out, and that allows it to properly vent. So that's just something just to be aware would help distribution throughout the building. Katie had a question.
Does that make a difference with the hot water? So I'm sorry, I don't. It does not. So I will say one thing as a tenant. You know what? If it's cold, if the heat is not working, I can put on multiple layers of sweaters. I have no problem with that. It's when I need to take a shower or need, you know, hot water or whatever, right?
Now, the law
to
does not
me.
require you to put on multiple layers of clothes. The law requires the owner to provide adequate heat. So good for doing that, but like, that's their job. Katie.
How, in regard to the garbage situation, are you referring to bags piling up on the street or more that there's a lot of garbage cluttering around?
Oh yes. So, you know, I think I mean, I've spoken to Christian about this in other meetings about, you know, the pest management. You know, in the last, you know, up until maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, you know, New Amsterdam was doing a good job. Like you guys were like on top of things, you know. I think in terms of like the garbage management. But within the last 3 months, I will say that it's gone back, it's slid backwards to what I, you know, witnessed during the pandemic, which is, you know, on non-garbage collection days, I'm seeing bags of garbage being piled on top of the canisters, and they're not on the street. They're in that, like, you know, that basement vestibule collection
The
area.
area way in front of the building, right?
Yeah, no, not in front of the building, but it's like right in front of the units
Yeah.
that is down, like where the garbage chutes are,
Yeah.
right? That's I'm noticing that, you know, on non-garbage collection days, like, you know, for like 12, you know, you know, I get it if it's like garbage collection day, like, you know, I know you guys are not supposed to put out the garbage, you know, up until like 8 or whatever, you know, but I'm noticing it during like, you know, like.
The reason I was asking is just to note that due to all the snow, there has been a lag in collection.
Right.
So that could be while we're seeing this buildup. It may not be a function of the building, it may just be a function of sanitation dealing with snow versus garbage. And I mean, I kind of think if they are if bags aren't being collected and they're putting them back off the street, that kind of makes the street look a little bit nicer than just letting the bags pile up. But I do want to say, you know, these updates all sound very positive, and it sounds like these buildings have gotten to a point where the issues that are being brought up are issues that are brought up at literally every pre-war building in this neighborhood. And I'm not sure that, I'm not sure at this point, is this something that our community, that our committee needs to continue monitoring, because
Well, there
we're
are,
not monitoring the heat in every single.
right, but there are two items here that are not settled yet, right?
So
One
I
of,
hear what you're saying, and I appreciate that, and I do take that into account. I absolutely do. You know, since like January 25th, right, when we had the first one, the first snowstorm. But I'm gonna say, you know, as someone who's diligent about my garbage collection, right? Like I only take my garbage out and I compost because because of the rat situation well before all of this started. I will say that I have noticed before. Before January 25th, 24th, when the first snowstorm came about, I've noticed like a slide.
prior to the snow.
Prior to the snow, right?
Okay.
Okay.
So,
but I'm gonna also say this because
Now, we need to stop you.
Right, but at the same time, I want to get two other items here and get to move along,
Right.
because this is the reason this building is in this committee. Number one, you mentioned, Christian, how many vacant apartments do you have today? Let's get that information. You said you had 19 applications, but how many vacant apartments do you have?
Vacant, we have about 30.
Okay, that's a lot, right? Of those 30, which are the homeless referrals versus the regular rentals?
These I believe are all being, I think these are all being referred to, these are city FEPS tenants that are being referred.
So these are all 30 homeless referrals, all right? So Katie, I want to note that with that many vacant, and I will just note for the committee that the demographics of folks with city FEPS is pretty wide ranging, and some are extremely troubled coming in. So we are not out of the woods yet to say that this building goes away from this committee, because as those rentals happen, we're going to see what happens and the result, especially with the social service support. And thank you, Christian, for sending this back to us, sending information to us. We're going to do a separate briefing on this with you to ask and work with that provider to get a sense of what are the quote. The phrase aftercare is such an incredible, what's the word for it? What?
So broad. I was thinking so catch-up. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be nice. Okay, aftercare is not what people need. People need serious support. And with 30 new folks coming in, that has to be managed, right? Number two, where are you with your violations? How many are outstanding? How many have been cured since we met last?
So forgive me, I forgot the exact number that we had the last time we met. Right. We're still at that same amount, but I'll say because we're continuing to remove new violations, we have dismissal requests in, unfortunately, and we're told by HPD due to the weather conditions, we've had multiple dismissal requests canceled. So that is not allowing us to actually remove the violations that require the inspection to happen. So no inspections, no removal.
So let me support you in that. For the committee members, during the heating emergency, we not only had HPD inspectors, DOB inspectors, and DOH inspectors inspecting heat complaints. So it was like all hands on deck just for heat. So therefore, I think it would make. No, we didn't get the number, but you'll provide that to us and we'll share with the committee.
Well, the number right now, I'm sorry, I'll tell you. It's
let's hear it from them.
one moment. Total open on the block are 442, but we do have dismissal requests that are being scheduled, and I would also say that there is a large number of those that are within the HPD verifying stage, meaning we've said that they're corrected. HPD has to verify that they're corrected as well.
So I would just suggest with 442 violations over 14 buildings that we see this group again in 2 months, right?
How about 3? Yeah.
What? Okay, I think honestly,
Three, because
Okay.
we have a lot next month.
I understand this. The reason that this building, these set of buildings have moved back to normal, as Katie put it, pre-war, JD, pre-Civil War tenements, is because this community board has continued to be involved. I think it is totally inappropriate to wait 90 days to see what happens here, because there could be sliding, and we're gonna see 30 homeless rentals happen. And we need to see what happens with those 30 homeless rentals. Let's be realistic, guys. The fact that we're in the public realm has made this move ahead. And then Dolores brings up the fact there's been some more crime on the lot. So I
Joe?
really-
So we could
Sorry,
also.
Joe, may I suggest something? If, because I understand your point, but in the interest of everyone's time, can we reconvene when some of those applications have actually entered the building and are occupying?
Well, I'm assuming that would be in 60 days.
I'm assuming as well, but there's various timelines here, so I'm I'm happy to meet again, but
Check.
Okay,
And then,
I want to say to my members who feel really like we're spending too much time on this, we're having an impact on people's lives in hundreds of apartments in the surrounding blocks, right? And sometimes that happens. The best thing is that this building never comes back to this committee again.
Yeah.
But let's not have a lack of patience in this detail stuff, because we're making an impact. Katie?
I totally appreciate that, but I think moving forward, our focus should be on the city FEP's apartments,
Yep.
that, not pests, garbage, heat and hot water.
Unless it's very bad.
Unless it's very bad, we have to quantify very bad. You know, the building I used to live in, the heat went out 8 times in like a week. So this is happening everywhere, and we're not getting involved in it everywhere. So I think the thing that's most important to the security of this block relates to filling those vacancies and making sure they're filled with people
And
who are
the
appropriate.
management happens to that.
Yes, so I think that's what we're focusing on, and not focusing as much on some of these other lower, while they are
Correct.
issues, they're issues that are being resolved between the tenants association and the management team. And I don't think we need to necessarily be involved in those particular issues.
So therefore, our next time to hear this building would not be in April, would be in May. And we will focus on city FEPs and violations, okay? Because it's extraordinary to have that many violations on a group of buildings. Brian?
I will say there we've made progress with several tenants that have actually left the building because they were illegal, and we made an agreement. They've left, and they've had a huge number of violations on those specific units. One individual left last week. So as soon as we get these dismissal requests over to and the inspections occurring, you'll see the violation count go down very quickly. And I would also add, if HPD will verify what the work that we've already done, that will also help.
Of course, thank you.
Because
Brian.
that's taken in some cases months for them to verify what's already been done, and we're stuck with a high count because it's stuck in their system.
Christian, thank you, but there's someone in the room wanted.
Brian.
I just had so in the past, we've gotten a spreadsheet with the problem units, and one of the things that we learned was that a significant number of problems were on just a few units. Can we keep getting that? Maybe you're sending it, we're not getting it, but that's super helpful because it allows us to kind of track
And get the perspective.
Yeah, the push for the number going lower.
I can next time we meet, I can bring forward the top 5 units that have the most violations, that are the worst, or that we can all review, so there's more context behind it, if that's helpful.
Kristen, that's very helpful. Thank you. And Maria and I will contact you about meeting with the social service provider in the meantime, prior to the 60 days. And I want to thank Tao. I want to thank Tao and Liana also for just keeping, we know this building is going in the right direction, right? But the last thing we want to see is a backsliding and causing a problem. JD and then Katie?
Or Katie can go.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just wondering about when you say we want to follow up at our next meeting about city flats. Is this something, what does that mean? Just like how many apartments are sold? Or?
Well, it's,
I guess when we originally started reviewing this building, It was because there had been a lot of reports about things, about problems, and we were trying to figure out sort of what the source of the problems was. And it sounds like we're not saying that we're gonna follow, if we hear about more problems, we're just gonna follow to hear.
I think the concern is that, there were problems that were related to people who had vouchers.
And lack of social services attached.
Okay, so, just wondering, are we, is this a proposal now, are we gonna follow up? Or do some sort of, connection with all the buildings that are district that have city funds?
No, hold on, Katie, no. We are dealing with a set of problem buildings that have a whole host of issues that are slowly getting resolved, right? And
Which is a good thing.
which is it's a very good thing, and I can say bluntly, right? That folks who are referrals from shelters via city FECs frequently don't have adequate social service support. And what Christian just said is that they actually made court settlements with a couple of people to move out who were problem tenants. We need to understand this because there's a broader issue happening, that the idea that the best way to resolve homelessness is to give somebody a voucher and throw them out into the world with minimal aftercare is not really a solution.
Well, Joe, just to clarify what I said about when I met problem tenants, I meant in the sense that yeah, very briefly, that they were not paying rent, calling for multiple violations on a daily basis, and not allowing
Yes.
access.
Yeah, and
Also, just to clarify, Christian, because I didn't hear you say this, but maybe you did. The people who just moved out, who had a lot of violations, were they city FECs recently?
yes,
Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
JD, let's close out this.
Sure, two quick things. Christian, I think you go to the precinct community council meetings every month, and I think it's very valuable. Because if there are problems of security on the street, they will be brought up at that meeting. So I think, Maria and Joe, that's a good monthly,
Right,
and the second question.
Christian, did you hear what he suggested?
no, he does.
Oh.
I think something's being added to my dance card monthly.
No, I believe you've been going to the precinct community council of Midtown North. And that's great, so continue to do so. My question to Joe from Maria, do they have a choice of who to accept if a person is perhaps not the best fit? Do they have a choice?
They have a limited choice, and that's one of the problems, because in the past, there was discretion by the provider or the owner if a person was able to be independent living. I actually can tell you, not anecdotally, but like in my face, we have gotten referrals that say, not ready for independent living, box checked, and then ready for independent living, box checked on the same form. And there are folks who are come to it as a showing of an apartment and are 100% do not, people said, I can't cook. I need, someone came to an apartment with a walker and needs a home attendant. Like, it was like things that, it was not properly, the referrals were mismatched, not vetted. Not vetted, because it's all about just moving folks out.
Does that answer your question, JD?
It does, thank you.
All right,
Check
I think we can.
Yeah, and it's really a weird thing, by the way. This is only in the last couple of years, like year and a half. Thank you all very much from 49th Street. We really appreciate it. Thank you, HCC. Thank you, Tao, and thank you, Christian.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
thank
Have a
you.
good night.
I can see everyone shifting and getting ready. If you need to grab a snack, so right now, before Fountain House comes up, we have Ian and Mark coming up next. They are from Fountain House. Do you all know Fountain House?
Never heard of it. Well,
Fountain House. Yeah, just very briefly, they're gonna give the history of Fountain House, but ultimately it's on West 47th Street. It's a nonprofit that serves people who have serious mental illness in the community, and once you receive services there and you're a member, you can be a lifelong member. My mother actually is a member. She doesn't go anymore, but she was in the past.
And Fountain House is a clubhouse model. You go work on your mental illness in the clubhouse, in activities, in work setting. Staff members and members work side by side, and it was founded in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they are great. They
Right, and they're
also
incredible.
Yeah.
participate in the block associations as members. They are terrific.
So they will
Great.
present.
So sorry, we're singing your praises too much, guys,
Yeah, and
in advance.
we talked at the.
We appreciate it.
Maybe 10 minutes, you can save room for us to ask you questions. Right, so you both are up and you can introduce yourselves and start with your presentation. Thank you for being
All
here.
right, thank you so much. And I actually have a slide deck. Do I have the ability to share my screen?
Yes, you do.
All right, wonderful. So I will just get us started and then I will hand it off to my colleague, Mark. So hi, everyone. My name is Ian Campbell. My role at Fountain House is I'm the Senior Director of Innovations and Training, which is just really new programs that we're starting. I've been at Fountain House for 19 years. And I've worked in our housing department, I've worked in our employment department, and I'm very happy to be here. So I'm going to hand it off to my friend and colleague, Mark. And Mark, after you introduce yourself, feel free to get started with your presentation and I'll handle the slides.
Okay, thanks. I'm not quite sure how to apologize for this. I guess I was lobbying in Albany. By the way, everybody can hear me, right?
Yeah,
I was lobbying in Albany with Alliance for Rights and Recovery recently, so I wrote a little speech for this that's really overkill. You guys are actually obviously pretty well familiar with Fountain House. I'll try to take mercy on you and sort of deliver this as a list of bullet points. All Fountain House members, like myself, have a diagnosed with a serious mental illness. Which according to the National Institutes of Mental Health in 2021 was 5.5% of American adults. It's defined as a disorder that impairs one or more significant life activities, including day-to-day functioning. As you mentioned, we're a psychosocial rehabilitation clubhouse. Fountain House members additionally are pre-screened by psychiatric attestation for behavioral compatibility with a safe and positive community environment. Fountain House is pretty unique. As you noted, it was founded on West 47th Street in 1944 by people with lived experience of mental health treatment, which is people who had been inpatients in mental hospitals as a group called the We Are Not Alone Society. And I have a little bit of a long quote from the Society Bulletin back in 1944. It sounds very utopian. Basically, I don't know how to summarize it, Fountain House, I would say, represents a major advancement in behavioral and integrated medicine by means of intentional community. Among other things, Fountain House members achieve paid employment at about twice the rate of the general SMI population. Members report reduced feelings of loneliness and isolation, which are significant health determinants. In 1948, Fountain House incorporated as an all-volunteer nonprofit foundation. Today, it leads a global movement in the research, training, and application of intentional local and global communities of clubhouse members pursuing improved wellness, and also employment of qualified peers who have lived experience of mental illness in the service of their fellows. There are paid staff at 3 New York City Fountain House clubhouses. There's also Fountain House has a retail art gallery and a cafe in CB4 and a working farm in New Jersey that was donated. And recently, Fountain House Clubhouse was established in Hollywood, California. And Fountain House leads the Clubhouse International Standards model for more than 370 psychosocial rehabilitation clubhouse communities under various names in 32 countries around the world. The paid staff that do direct service are basically called social practitioners. You mentioned the work order today. We have work units like education, employment, research, culinary, which serves price-fixed lunch and breakfast, house and garden, which helps maintain all the property that's on 47th Street, wellness that runs a gym, classes and workshops, communications that publishes some periodicals, the Welcome Center that I'm a member of, and the Silver Center for members over age 55, which I'm actually also a member of, which organizes visits to assisted living residences. We employ some peer specialists, blah, blah, blah. Okay, here's the main spiel is public investment in Fountain House supports services like homeless outreach and care management that ease the strain on law enforcement, medical institutions, and social services at a lower cost of delivery and consequently provide a net economic benefit to states, municipalities, and the federal budget. And with that, I will let Ian take up.
All right, thank you for that, Mark, and thank you again to the community board for having us. So I think Mark really touched upon it, and I'm going to dive a little deeper. At the heart of what Fountain House does is we believe that community is a necessary part of therapy. It's therapeutic and it's a necessary part of life for everyone, actually, and that all of us really need, all people need other people, place, and purpose, and that for people with serious mental illness, they're denied those things a lot of the time. And so what we think of when you think of mental illness, often you think of people having, delusions, paranoia. It's often called the positive symptomology of mental illness. But medication can impact those things. Medication can, but by and large does not impact what are known as the negative symptomology, having living below the poverty line, being lonely, which we know can lead to adverse health effects. And we support in that area. And so our services started, as Mark mentioned, on 47th Street, but we now have 3 New York City clubhouses, one in the South Bronx, one in Harlem on 126th and 5th Avenue, and then the one in your district. We have about just shy of 400 beds of housing, some of which are in your community board district, some of which are not. We also want to thank Eric Botcher for having helped fund our young adult program last year, which is just thriving. And we're trying to reach folks sort of early on in their illness. So members grow their social networks, their confidence, and get connected to social determinants of health, which really the big ones that we focus on are jobs, housing, and school. Members of Fountain House are about twice as likely to be employed as people with the same diagnoses that are not going to a clubhouse. And looking for a job is actually the top reason that people come to Fountain House per their membership application. And Mark touched upon it. Last year, we opened up a cafe and home goods store on 10th Avenue and between 48th and 49th Street, where every day we employ about 16 people from our clubhouse, and we would love to have you come by and visit.
Excuse me, Ian, can you mention the free coffee, give a coffee?
Yes, thank you. So we have a program where on a board we have people buy coffee for other people in the community. And so you might come by and on the board you might see your name there, perhaps if a friend of yours has frequented the store and bought you a cup of coffee, or you could do so for a colleague of yours.
Or even a stranger.
Or a stranger. Sometimes it just says 1 free coffee for someone who needs it.
I thought you were referring to the recharge station, which is out of CB4, but is worth mentioning. That's in Times Square, and that provides recharges of things like phones, and I think free coffee and soft drinks to unhoused people. Ian, is that right?
Well, to anyone. It's an intervention to try to it's an innovation to try to approach street outreach in a different way, because there are some folks that do not respond to traditional homeless outreach. And so we're doing that, just as Mark said correctly, just outside of your district. But we'd love to have you come by and visit our store. We'd love to have you come by for a tour of Fountain House on 47th between 9th and 10th. And if you're ever looking to fund something, our social enterprise program, which we at Fountain House at any one time, we have about 300 members working, and we want to get more people back to work. And so if there's anything you can do to support that, whether it be financial or just coming by and frequenting our store on 10th Avenue, and also it can be an event space. If you need a space for your meetings in the future, we would love to have you there. Yeah. And we're open to any questions that people might have.
I saw Dolores's hand go up first, so I'll let her go first.
So thank you, Fountain House, for all you do in the community and beyond. Specifically to that last statement that you made, which I think is the most important, is the appeal for funding. Through our budget task force, we clearly have an opportunity to appeal to the various agencies for additional funding. So if you could provide the board, doesn't have to be tonight, but if you can provide to our board office some of the specific asks that you have that could use fundings, and then we could add that to our list to the appropriate agencies to advocate for funding for that through the city.
We would love to do that. We will be in touch very soon.
Yes, did talk about the ask, and that was, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me, guys? Okay, can you hear me?
We
all
can
right?
hear you. Keep
Yes.
going.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just be clear about what the ask is. We did talk about it, and that was kind of a soft ask. But it would be funding the social enterprise program.
Yeah, so our social enterprise program are micro businesses that Fountain House runs to get people back to work. We have had a model since the 1950s called transitional employment, where what we found was that for a lot of our people, they have, for a number of reasons, I would say the biggest ones are sporadic work history, making a resume not as attractive as it could be. Also a lack of experience and perhaps even a lack of confidence with interviewing. It meant getting even entry-level jobs to sort of build up your resume and build up your soft skills to be nearly impossible. And so in 1958, we started a transitional employment program where we have partnerships with employers, and we basically vouch for our people and get them to work with a minimal onboarding process, minimal, no interview, don't need to have a resume. And as time's gone on, we've needed to evolve and innovate, and our social enterprises are our newest innovation. We run 4 companies that are working, all of which are working actually in the community board district. Jackrabbit Deliveries has a contract to do meal delivery for the Meals on Wheels program that Encore Community Services does. We have our store, which is new and still getting off the ground that I mentioned. We have a peer recovery warm line, which actually does work both for Fountain House members, but is open to other people in the community who are experiencing distress. And they actually are going to start working with elders who live in Encore housing and are experiencing loneliness, and they're going to run a warm line. And then we have Rock Dove, which is a sort of catch-all. They've done everything from they've run a mailroom at Publicist Group on Broadway and 52nd, which is no longer there, to they staff our recharge station. And so, yeah, the ask would be to fund this new innovative program.
Sorry,
that
what was
is
the 4th thing you said?
Rock Dove, which has done a number of things over the
Okay.
10 years it's existed, but right now they run our recharge station, which is a partnership with the Times Square Alliance and the Center for Justice Innovation.
Right. Okay, thank you. And in the room, we had a question, JD and then Charles.
Yes.
Okay.
I live on 48th Street. We know Fountain House very well. We used to meet at Fountain House. And shout out to Elliot, who came to our block meeting again the other day. So you've been a very good community member. I'd like to get a reservation for a room, because having been on this board, I may need it.
Of course, you're more than welcome. We would love to have you.
But I must say, the best thing is that you do meet with us to resolve larger community problems. There have been times when some of your members have been ejected from Fountain House because they are so disruptive. The problem is they stay in the neighborhood. And you have responded to that to try to help them get back in some kind of program. So you guys are great and a model for blending in with the community and being part of the larger community. So I commend you and keep doing that.
Thank you. We will.
We just spoke about a group of homes that are about to have vouchers, and people who have reportedly been a part of, mental health concerns. Do you partner with other people within the community? Because if we're about to have 30 people and maybe 15 of them might need services, this is the type of thing that I think could help in that type of conversation.
And conversely, they might have people that need.
And vice versa.
Yes, we do partner. We really value our community, the community around us and the community of the city. And if it would be helpful, we would be happy to do a presentation at this building for these folks with City FEPS vouchers and let them know about the services that Fountain House has. We'd be more than happy to do that. And we can, email back and forth to make that happen, perhaps.
We put him in touch with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this, that's a great connection out of two different disparate things in this meeting.
And the tenant association would be a part.
Because without question, there will be folks with
Yeah.
serious mental health issues.
They would be, I think they would need to be part of the presentation, like, view the
Yeah,
presentation.
me too.
That was your question, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got it,
yes.
and there was someone else, Katie.
Hey, thanks for the presentation, and I love the work that you're doing about sort of the job skills and things. I think we all know that that plays such an important role in the social determinants of health. But I was just wondering, because I know there are other organizations in our district who are also working with people, for job skills and training, and I just wondered, is there any kind of like work amongst you all to, like, do you talk with other job skills training organizations who are working with people with severe mental illness or homelessness or any of that?
Yes, we do. I don't know the specific ones that you're maybe thinking of, but I can throw out a few. Like we just had Workforce One come and visit Fountain House because we thought maybe there'd be some synergy there. We have a great relationship with Good Temps, which I don't know where they're located, but I know that they've gotten some of our folks jobs in the neighborhood in some of in office work. So yes, we speak to other. We're always trying to steal ideas and like work together with people, and we'll kind of we love to try new things and to make new relationships. So 100%. And if you have any suggestions for us, please get in touch.
Great, well, good, thanks.
So, just want to know, Ian, that, I've worked professionally with Fountain House for 40 years, and they are the gold standard in working with the seriously mentally ill because you're also embedded in the community. That you don't just do this and say that something is done, you follow up, you engage, and you just don't give up. And I wanted the committee members to know that really makes a difference in terms of people's lives, because not everybody succeeds every day in every process. And there are members that are at the clubhouse, I know, for 30, 40 years and are just hanging in there and doing it. And I think the model that JD noted is that you're outward facing. You engage with the community. We have a lot of providers in our community. We've dealt with through this community that are super inward, and it's what they do, and it's in their four walls, and if it's outside, they don't really care. So thank you for doing that and being part of our community and being founded in our community. You should know that the building that you were founded in was also the building that the New Yorker was founded in 100 years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
Mark, there was,
Yes.
I don't know,
It's 47.
you had your hand up, but,
Yeah, I just, when Ian mentioned the fact that we have a warm line, I also wanted to mention that we do advocacy. We have an advocacy academy, and our members advocate on behalf of things like Jesse's Law and 988, which 988 is pretty serious because we still have, when a 911 call goes to for mental health incident, then police show up and the person winds up getting shot instead of getting care. So 988, the idea is to call 988 instead of 911.
yes. Okay, thank you. And Rachel?
No, I would like to make a motion in support of the letter, recognizing the good work that Fountain House is doing, especially the point that Katie raised and, Joe, you mentioned about being a good community partner and in support of the funding. I think that would be.
The funding's got to come a little bit later because they got to give us more details about it. But I think in general, like a thank you for your work kind of stuff is the right way to go.
Yeah, because we need some kind of letter, if they're gonna be.
We need more detail.
Although, Joe, I think that Rachel's idea of adding that we support funding helps us to get started with
In general, right?
with adding that to the budget requests. So
Yeah.
I second Rachel's motion.
Great, so let's take a vote on that, 'cause I think it's a general support letter with basically supporting funding, and then they're asking them to come back to us with a specic program ask,
Yeah, that's helpful.
right? There's a second on the motion?
I second it already.
Oh, Dolores seconded, I'm sorry.
So it would be all in favor.
All in favor? Anybody against? P&E? Abstaining. Okay, Karis, thank you so much for coming tonight and talking to us, and thank you for being organized and brief, even better. Thanks.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really
Okay.
appreciate having.
Getting a pause? Wow.
So folks, we have a bunch of things to run through very quickly, which are updates. Maria's gonna take some, I'm gonna take some, okay? First, I want to start with the brand new project that came just today. We got a briefing an hour before this meeting. 515 West 43rd Street. That is the proposal for a 17-story building on West 43rd between 10th and 11th. It is consistent 515 West 43.
It's currently an Avis car rental.
Avis car rental garage, right? So just to give everybody the context, this block between 43rd and 44th, 10th to 11th was rezoned as part of the West Clinton rezoning in 2009, one of the Western Rail Yards commitments. And we have seen project after project being built on this block.
They had a new building not too long ago.
There has been a new building not too long ago, it's constant, right? And we've seen over the Amtrak cut that was built through block. And this site is a Avis garage on West 43rd, but one through block garage to West 44th. And then either side are additional garages. The owner met with us today. They're actually in the stages of negotiation to purchase the additional garages to do another building. But they're gonna do this project in phases, right? Because they don't wanna wait until everything gets done. So it's a little confusing today because they came to us under UAP, the Universal Affordability Program. First time we've gotten one of these. But that's because this block does not have mandatory inclusionary housing. It's the old voluntary inclusionary housing, which has been replaced by a version by UAP. So we were a little bit confused and then got through this, figured out. It is an 86 unit building with 6 affordable units under the new rules.
This is for the building.
On West 43rd.
Okay.
On West 43rd. They will return to us with the West 44th Street component later. And they will come and present to this committee in June. They are not able to come next month because of Passover, right? And it very engaged, very thoughtful, and it seems to be a sort of low impact development, right? Our questions, as always, are the number of units, where they're distributed, the amenities. These folks did a good study on Community Board 4, so they have units from the bottom of the building to the top. They have access to the amenities that are affordable. I mean, all the stuff that we deal with all the time. And the apartment finishes, they said, well, of course they'll be the same. I mean, like, Nellie just sent them today the questionnaire. So the idea is that they will fill the questionnaire. Maria and I will do a second briefing with them, and then we'll set them up for this meeting here in May. Yes.
Did you say that they're rentals or?
Rentals, yeah.
Question. So you said there's 86 units. 6 are affordable. What percentage?
So how this works now, right? And this is the due diligence part we have to do. It is 20% of the square footage, because there's 2-bedroom units here. How's that? 2s and 1s, right? So if under the new UAP issue is that if the building gets taller, which it will, right? It's whatever the increment is, that's the additional square footage. So we asked the developer to give us the zoning table to look at this. This is the first time we're looking at this version of it. So I was gonna ask Roberta, myself, like a few of us on the land use side to look at this carefully, because we have not looked at this version before, right?
Well, one thing that I
Flavor.
find to be somewhat unusual, or what I was surprised with the affordability breakdown, is you would typically anticipate that a rental building would utilize some form of a tax exemption.
Yes.
That would require additional affordability, and it sounds like
It's
they're.
45X,
Well, if it's 45X, don't they have additional affordability that is required?
not if no, it's the 60% average, 45X. So listen, we just got this briefing like 2 hours ago. We're gonna get the package from them, share it a little bit, because at least they came early, put it out there. So we have to, it's the first version, it's the first time we've seen this new version of the housing through zoning. So that's why I asked Roberta, myself, maybe JD to look at it. Yes, Charles?
Was there any conversation, get any sense that they might go up on that 6, or that's?
No, this is all about compliance. So, and again, we saw a presentation on a screen. So imagine for a moment, the zoning table is like, we kept saying, can you blow them up? Can you like, it's just, we have to look at it carefully, but that's upcoming. Next, Kevin, you do the Mount Sinai.
Okay, I'm on the Mount Sinai Community Advisory Board, so a couple updates. I think everybody knows the nurses won strike. Strike settled, nurses back to work, so congratulations to the nurses. Second, folks who go to Mount Sinai and who have Anthem, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, that has now separated, so it's now out of pocket for those people who got that insurance.
Out of network.
Out of network, sorry. Thank you.
Right, out of network.
You get a
That
little
covers
bit.
approximately about 9,000 doctors to approximately 200,000 patients. So that, they're in ongoing talks, but it fell apart. So, and then there's a meeting on March 23rd that I'll be at. And if there's any further updates, I'll share that with the meeting. When we do the letter about it.
No, not yet. Okay. Next one is 420.
That's a quick follow-up. So, sorry, can I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin, do you have a sense of like how many people in our district that insurance?
I don't, that's an excellent question. That's what I'm gonna ask of them and try to get it by the March 23rd cab.
Yeah, cause I mean, if a lot of our people are all of a sudden can't go.
Uninsured to their local hospital.
That's a big deal.
No, I'm gonna try to get that. Thanks, Steve.
The people who are like patients at the hospital, because it might be hard to break it down specifically by like. Where,
Well, address.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
They would know, they should
They should
know
know
the
that.
number of their members who live in this district.
Do my zip code.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think emergency is still covered though, right? Did they say anything about that?
There's levels of minutia, so if you're in like life-threatening care, there's very specific facts. So if someone has a particular question, they should either contact Mount Sinai and or Anthem. There are laws that cover not refusing
care.
emergent care anyway, regardless of
But
insurance.
the
status.
definition of a true emergency.
Are there other hospitals?
It's
that go with that
subjective.
insurance? If you have that insurance, that's not at Sinai, there are other hospitals. that-
Most of the hospitals, every other hospital.
Yeah, so they're not out of care, just not out of care.
No, it's out of care locally.
So if someone lives in a particular area or they have a particular type of insurance or. They don't.
Or your doctors are based at Mount Sinai.
Or the employment amount, but if you're gonna see doctors in the Mount Sinai network in this particular area, now you have issues.
Right, you may be totally based on Mount Sinai, all your doctors based on Mount Sinai.
I just wanna mention one other thing in relation to Mount Sinai, and I don't know if this is something that's worth exploring in our health side of things. Mount Sinai is a not-for-profit, I'm sure they're heavily funded by the state. They also do not accept, not the hospital, but their other satellite doctors' offices, do not accept any health plan from the New York State Health Exchange. If you get your insurance through the state health exchange, regardless of metal level, silver level, bronze level, they will not accept it. If you have that plan through an employer, they will accept it. But if you have that plan through the New York State of Health, they will not accept this. I know this because I've been dealing with it for 4 years.
If you can ask, bring that up at the cab, that'd be great.
I didn't know.
It's
Katie,
ridiculous.
I'm not 100% sure that's correct, because I do know folks that do have it through the exchange and it is accepted and all their doctors are through Mount. But it could be your particular plan.
The hospital accepts it, but they're like walk-in clinics, like on 23rd Street and 8th Avenue, and their doctors, like primary care, do not accept it.
Either way, it's important to explore.
And I have a question for the cab, which is, I forgot the title. My close friend, I forgot what her title is. She works at a different hospital. But they are, and I lost the word right now, when you shift positions from here in the city to other, so, I forgot what that's called, outsourcing, I think. Outsourcing positions to India that have to do with, insurance and billing. So I'm just curious about that, if they do that there, and if they do, how long have?
You'll get in more information about that.
As I have 3 follow-up questions, and I'll endeavor to get the answers either before or at the 23rd cab, and report back to the committee.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next thing is 420 West 45th Street, the Article 11 request we had for the middle income co-ops and market rate co-ops in West 45th. I have a call with the developer tomorrow, and we expect them to come back to our April meeting to the final presentation on the building. They've taken a very long time, they've had some internal problems.
Which street did you just?
420 West 45th.
Okay.
The next one is 317, 319 West 35th. Maria and I had another meeting with the developer, another briefing, and they still don't have the square footage required to build the affordable units. We said, informed them that it would not be appropriate to return to the committee to have discussion about it until they had the square footage available to build the affordable units. Since that time, the board has gotten, and I've gotten one call about various developers are looking to acquire the building. And they wanted to understand, one developer was represented to that the big problem was the community board won't approve this. I clearly noted that the problem is the developer doesn't own the square footage to build the affordable housing. So I think they're definitely, while they're trying to figure out what to do, they're also trying to market the building at the same time. So updates will be coming that every month.
Just 1 second, did everyone happen to see the digest that's in the Dropbox?
Yeah, yes.
Or some didn't?
And is the digest helping, or all these briefings that we're having?
Yes.
We're trying to make it as clear as possible, like this, because these things keep coming at us like.
And I'd just be curious if you think it's the right length, or if it's too long, if you think it needs to be more concise. So if you can give feedback, that would be appreciated.
That's very important.
Okay.
The next one is Maria and I had a briefing with 425, 427 West 44th Street, St. Agnes and St. Agnes Home, St. Joseph's. That is an SRO on West 44th between 9th and 10th. And then the part of it is the adjacent building to these, which is a brownstone. That the Sisters of Charity, I guess, have kind of gone out of business. They are moving properties to for affordable housing, or in this case, supportive housing use. And the individuals that came and met with us one had been there for 2 weeks in the job. The other one had been there for a bit longer. They were not fully informed. And they said this project was as of right, not an issue. We noted to them that it's in the Clinton Special Zoning District. They said, well, part of it's a dormitory, we can demolish it. However, I informed them that the board had worked with the tenants in this building about 10 years, no, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. They came, they were being evicted or pushed out of the building. Basically older, there were Filipino nurses that had inhabited there, all Catholic, because it was Catholic residents. And they stated that, oh, they were surprised about that. I said, well, therefore there's issues here. And they said, there's nothing to be done except we are getting public funding. So we noted to them that this is not an as of right project with public funding. And they proposed keeping the one building, which is the historic model tenement, in place, but the other one doing a modern building. JD, you'll love this, with windows that go like this up and out of the facade, and 8 stories.
One of the prettiest spots.
Right. So since that time, the board has found out that Goddard Riverside Law Project, SRO project, had worked with the tenants there. There are still tenants in the building. Today, I received from the block photos of lights on in the back of the building, not in the front. So there are active people living there, but on top of it, that it seems to be part of it operated as a legal Airbnb. So we're gonna have a follow-up discussion with the Sisters of Charity and their designees. Of course, this property should be redeveloped and used well, whatever, but it should not, it's gotta comply with zoning, and it also has to deal with things like, this is not as of right. It has to be managed.
Have they sold it, you're saying, or they're just working with?
No, they have set up a separate foundation or charity, and they have multiple properties. What happened is the sisters have pretty much died, right?
Sure.
And therefore they moved the property to this separate not-for-profit that they kind of control.
But the church controls.
The sisters, it's an order, right? And they have another property up in Harlem, and they started this again there. And so the point of it is, I think this all sounds like good to do, but how it gets done is the real issue of it.
So it's the people that you spoke to, they're developers, they're
not developers, they were employees of this not-for-profit, but they did not seem super, right, experienced.
Yeah, I would say that. There was 2 people in the meeting and they couldn't answer really well.
Do they know supportive housing?
Well, they do have a few buildings up in Harlem. Actually, Jesse, I was doing some investigating.
Okay.
I don't have results yet on my investigation to find out more.
Yeah, I know, and we've asked Board 11 about this, and in other words, it seems as if like the effort is good, but this is not quite ready for prime time, and they just assumed they're proceeding.
So I think the next steps with that, I think we were meeting with them internally next month.
Yeah, we're gonna ask them for briefing again, gave a list of questions. Can you please come back and talk about it? Now, the Block Association has contacted the board and is quite, concerned about this for a bunch of reasons. One is the idea of demolishing a brownstone on the brownstone block. It's not a significant looking building, but it's a brownstone, right? And replacing it with a 8-story building when the rest are 4. And like, there was not a lot of creativity of how to get this to work in a way, like integrated. I mean, yeah, I mean, and there's no problem with that. You can do that. It's a large, there's a 25-foot wide brownstone, and then there's like a 50-foot wide building. You can figure out how to put bulk around and make it work, but not a lot of thought. Maria, 243.
1 second. Maya, can you just do me a favor and email me and just title the email, follow up with Jesse regarding St. Agnes? Okay, thanks. I appreciate it so much. I wanted to go to A first and then I'll go to E. A, in the Dropbox, you should, well, first, since we have Marat.
Yes.
I remembered your name. We have Kevin and I are going to have a meeting with tenants here next week in person. Marat, you already know that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll like that. Actually, I'm gonna come a little late, so.
Okay, that's fine. Kevin and I, this is Kevin. Him and I will be here.
Monday,
Okay?
Monday at 5, right?
Yeah, so we'll see you next week, okay?
Okay.
And then we'll update the committee next month about that meeting and anything that came from it. Were you here last month, JD? I see your face look like you're curious.
What that meeting's about, they are from.
Oh,
This
so
building, they're from this
He's
building.
a
They're
tenant,
from here.
he's a tenant that lives here, and last month at the meeting here, him and another tenant came and raised some concerns, and I spoke to them after and I said, let's have a meeting in person, so we're doing that. Okay, oh, you were here, okay, good. Good night, Brad, thank you for coming. And then, what was the other thing? Oh, in the Dropbox, there should be a letter from CHDC. You have a question, JD? No. Oh.
Look back.
Here's a questioning face.
So in the Dropbox, there should be a letter from CHDC. I think Nellie put it in today because it doesn't matter. The point is that letter is referencing a tenant who came to full board in January. I don't know if you all remember, she said she lives on West 46th Street, and she was mentioning wanting security cameras because of assaults, people entering the apartment unauthorized. She talked about a roach infestation, things like that. So the letter is referencing that and responding to that. And essentially, the letter is mentioning that there is 24/7 front desk staff. The things that occurred, the unauthorized entry into the units and the assaults, there were no reports of that happening at that building. And let's see what else I wrote about that. And if you see the letter, it details the response to each of the issues that she mentioned. Okay, and that was that. The next thing I wanted to mention was E. That's Mountainside Treatment Center. That's a substance treatment program. It's on West 18th Street between 7th and 8th Avenue. And so they are going to be coming next month to give a presentation. Essentially what they're just requesting, they already have 3 floors where they're currently working and housed. But the 3rd floor is not for services, and they want the 3rd floor to be for services, and they have to go through the state organization. I forgot how to pronounce it. Oasis. Oh, okay. So they need to go through the state agency, but they need approval from us. So they'll be here next month.
They're an expansive existing clinic.
Yeah.
Is there a block association down on 18th Street? people would be,
We did talk about that. Jesse and I did talk about that with them. So I believe they hadn't reached out, but they were willing to. As far as we know so far, there are no complaints from
We should reach out to CCBA to make sure
that location.
they attend the meeting, right?
Yes,
Yeah. Got it.
who's gonna, you got it, you'll remind us. Thank you. I can do it. I didn't remind it, thank you. And NYCHA FEC.
Oh, first we're gonna,
Oh, sorry.
Kevin?
You all might be familiar that it's come up again, the rescission of transgender, gender affirming healthcare. Gender affirming healthcare,
rescinding, is that?
not covering, not offering. Okay. So that, at least NYU, if not others, have curtailed that. On a positive aspect of it, Health and Hospitals as the largest public hospital system still does that, so
Correct.
kudos to the public hospital here in H&H. I think nothing should get between the patient and the doctor. What is the appropriate healthcare and not the whims of who may be currently occupying in Washington DC. So I would suggest, and we appreciate the motion, I'll write the letter that this committee, we go to full board. Pulling that out, we could also cite to the previous letter we did in March of last year. That was because of an executive order. This is now purportedly in response to threatening the funding from in December. There were threats about cutting off Medicare and Medicaid. But still, the only way you stand up to a bully is actually standing up to a bully and not rescinding the healthcare that's needed. So I would think that we could do that letter, calling out those systems that are doing that. And also, I think we should praise as a North Star, as a guiding principle, health and hospitals. So I would throw that out there for a motion and.
Right, so I would say, no, it's funny, if a parent doesn't want a vaccine, that's okay. If a parent wants that gender affirming care for their child, that's not okay. So that's, yes, Rich.
I moved to write that letter. And in
Move to
addition,
Kevin to write that.
I so moved, right, I moved, but not volunteer. I think that we, as a committee, with volunteers like Kevin, write the letter, but I also wanted to make a hopefully friendly amendment. I would love Carrie's input on the letter.
Yes.
Also, she noted, you saw the exchange between her and the new borough president, who said that he was gonna follow up with Carrie, so I would like to incorporate that update as much as possible.
Absolutely.
To the extent that some of our elected officials will be copied there, I know some of them have been very vocal about this, so I would like to also maybe recognize that and thank them and call for further advocacy on the front.
Those are great points. I was thinking about reaching out to Eric and Brad, anybody else that might say, do you have some issues or put in there, but yeah, absolutely.
Like items that are helpful.
Yes, thank you.
I'm opposed to this.
Second,
I'm sorry. I cannot vote for this. I'm 100% for transgender, 100%, no question. But you're bringing up something that I really am not qualified to judge. I don't know. You make a good point, certainly, but I honestly do not know the two sides. So you're asking me to participate in a medical issue that I'm really not qualified to know. I'm sure you're right about this, and I support 500% the rights of transgender people, absolutely. But I honestly don't know the issue that well.
No, and I appreciate that. I think what
So
I
you're
said is that
saying,
somebody
we should
should,
do this because it's good, it's virtuous, but I honestly don't know.
that's fair. I'm
I mean,
suggesting
there are two
is,
sides to it, right?
what I'm suggesting is, nobody should get between the doctor and the patient and cutting off the patient to have the access to those services through physicians.
We're not making a
That's a
diagnosis,
broad-
we just want the ability to go to a doctor.
That's a broad question, and it sounds good, but maybe there are.
The focus of our letter is not about supporting or saying X, Y, Z person should be able to do this care. It's that's a decision between patient and doctor and parent also.
That's all the letters say.
That's all the letter's saying, period.
And we've
Well,
already, we've done it.
that was not the motion, I didn't understand that. So,
To-
you're saying that.
Today, pre-Trump, right? Pre-Trump and all his directives.
Keep that out, Joe.
Oh, no, this is why it's happening.
This is not a political organization, like I.
No, this is, I'm talking about the current administrative / political leaders have said that which is already happening every day and has happened for many, many years.
Agreed, Joe.
Right, and therefore, I use the vaccine analogy specifically, right? Because that was, oh, the parents can say X, Y, or Z. Well, in this case, a parent and a child says, I want X, Y, or Z, and this administration says, no, you can't have access to healthcare. That's a problem.
And I just want to point out two things. One, that this is a healthcare issue, not necessarily a political, it's a healthcare issue. And two, the Attorney General, Letitia James, has put NYU on notice, giving them 10 days notice that they're violating, in her opinion,
New York state law.
Other things, New York state law and protected class, including sex, gender identity, and disability, and those laws remain in full force and effect. So it'll be backing the play amongst others of the Attorney General of the state of New York.
Okay, still for me, getting involved in these kinds of issues, which I am not 100% up to date. I agree with everything you're saying, and these people should be protected, no question. But I'm just a community board member of this committee, and we're getting into these issues that are brought for me.
Well, I have a
I'm
question.
abstaining from this because
Fine.
I don't.
You're-
It's okay, but my question was,
It's
what I-
okay.
what-
And I worry that we start getting into these larger things more and more. We're into ice, we're into this,
Yeah.
and we're just a community. of-
well,
It is our community.
I'm sorry, I have a question. Thank you.
It's our.
JD, I do have a question for you, and maybe it's a question that doesn't really require an answer, but it sounds like what you're saying is, I'm not informed enough, I don't have enough information in order to make a decision, and if that's the case, I'm wondering what information do you need or would help you make that decision?
All right.
Not that I could provide it, but I'm just curious what, I would like to understand.
I don't have to answer that. I think more and more the board sometimes gets into these larger issues, and I'm just sitting and saying, well, why are we moving too broadly here? I don't really know that much about it, frankly. I support the rights of, as you point out, Kevin, absolutely, but why are we writing a letter? We are choosing to write a letter about this. There are 100 things that we could get behind. So are we becoming?
As the person
I
who
don't
made the
know.
motion.
Roberta had something to
And
say.
so, is
Let
this a
Roberta.
big issue in our community?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, at Ryan Hill, we
Surprised to me.
offer,
Well, and both Ryan Health and then, Colin Lord, like that we have, I think, some very like strong, gender affirming care, like clinics and advocates that ultimately work with,
I have not,
folks, and then there
I'm
are
sure you're
people
right,
who have brought.
but I've not heard anybody come to this committee. and say,
Yes, we have. We heard yesterday, our board member, Carrie,
Yes, that.
raised this at the full board,
Yeah.
specifically in relation to a very personal matter that she deals with. And it's about, and I think the biggest thing for me that's just super clear here, we have a law in New York State that says people must have access, right? And in the typical way that has happened in this federal administration, there are threats.
I agree.
Are we people in our community that need that access?
There are people who need that access, and the issue is that depending upon the institution, different institutions have reacted differently. So Health and Hospitals has said, we're gonna follow the law of New York State. And NYU Langone, concerned about research grants bluntly, has said, we're not gonna follow that law. Rachel.
Yeah, actually, can I add to that and then address the motion? So it's kind of like the ICE letter that we drafted, right? Some might say, well, there hasn't been mass ICE raids. Why are we speaking of it? And sure, they're parking in Hudson River Park Trust, but they haven't really done, newsworthy enforcement action. And, we are kind of preparing and also speaking for community members who may get affected by it. So I think that could be kind of added to your analogy. But as the person who made the motion, I wanted to suggest that, I think we can all still respect where JD is coming
Agreed.
from.
Agreed.
And I just wanted to.
It's okay.
We like to respect you.
yeah, but
I don't really know. Yeah, I would suggest we discuss the motion or the content of the letter, right? But we can still vote on it, however we feel comfortable.
Yeah, call the question. It's already been seconded.
I am calling this question. Please, those who are in favor, raise your hand. Those who are against, those who are present not eligible, those who are abstaining. Great. So we're recording that. Katie's got the record. No, one against, one abstaining.
One again and two
Abstaining. Oh, two abstentions. Sorry, I didn't see the other abstention. Well, thanks.
To abstain?
Yeah, thank you very much. And we're gonna end on a small note, which is Chelsea NYCHA.
Wait a minute, yeah, correct.
What is that?
Are we clear or do we need clarity? Did we get a vote on line and we saw that, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
they were in favor and we had two abstentions. Paul and Pete, and then
No, Pete wasn't.
I know. He was against and two abstentions. Got it. Thank you for recording the votes. All right, so the small little project, Chelsea FEC. So just want to note, as reported to the board, the committees of the board did meet with New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. And honestly, I will say, we learned more in that meeting about the brownfield cleanup process. And that has not been disclosed by Related at all, right? And it is a long process, right? They have made applications for the two sites, 19th Street for 26th Street. And again, it heard me speak yesterday, it's a brownfield tax credit. So therefore you get a tax credit that you can sell for investments. It's quite lucrative. It's not a couple of dollars. And contrary to what was reported last night at the meeting, the brownfield contamination here on the initial survey is extensive. But it's only initial survey, right? So the notion that it was only like every place else in the city, it's not quite accurate at all. I've read the reports in detail. I've done brownfield cleanups, and there are serious contaminants here. And that happens because that part of Chelsea was a combination of residential and manufacturing, right? If you look at the old pictures in the Chelsea market, you see Nabisco and everything. So we're talking, it's not minor. It doesn't mean it can't be managed and done. The big issue I can tell you that I learned in that meeting was, number one, that DEC is very serious, that there's got to be focused community engagement and robust community engagement here. They expect it. And in fact, they have a program within the brownfield cleanup program that they will fund to get consultants to help the community respond better. And that's done across the city. And this is the first phase. That was the initial borings. Now, after this thing gets accepted, Related will go in and do multiple more borings, understand the depth of the contamination, its location, and then there's the means and methods for removal at what point. Now, what we learned also is not one shovel of soil can be moved until it goes through a full process, which includes public engagement, review, and public hearings with New York State DEC. So Related has put out, especially was annoying to those of us involved in this, at a PTA meeting a month ago, Jamar Adams said, "Oh, it's not that much there. It's not much there anyway." Now that's on a recording. So like enough already. They minimized it, and they've been minimizing this all the way along. And there is contamination there. And the DEC did not realize the adjacency to the school. We brought that to their attention. And they talked about, by the way, this would not be the first one. There would be 10 or 12 of these applications as the whole project proceeds, if it all proceeds with full demolition. So we're talking 10, 20 years of brownfield cleanups. And I'm not saying it could not be done, but if you don't start off on the right foot in engaging with this is crazy land at all. This is not minimal. Some could be major, some could be not. So this was to us a real eye opener. And the most eye opener part was the process is 12 to 18 months. And it was reported to the PTA that demolition was going to start in June. Now, buildings can be demolished, but you cannot excavate. And that means take a building down, it's still maybe some concurrent, but this project is not going to start. So when I sit in a community board meeting, a general meeting, and people are talking about, don't delay, you write a letter, it's going to delay. That is such a hot pile of bullshit. I am tired as a community member and as a long-term constituent here, to hear that this is gonna happen tomorrow. And I think the more we get reality in this discussion, the more we react and engage as a community. So that was the thing we learned a lot during this last couple of weeks.
I think also something that was important to me that stood out was meeting with Laura Dodge, who's, I forgot her title.
She's a civil engineer who, they provide services to various communities, like they did this down at the PEC slip of construction of a school at 250 Water Street. So they come and help represent, put the information together, remember, this is highly technical.
But they've also worked for developers, they've also worked for community members, and what was interesting to me, was lost it. Damn it, it just floated out.
No, what she informed the community board and the PTA was that you don't minimize, listen, she said, you don't minimize what's there. You say what it is and you deal with it and you engage with people on it in order to get trust, because parents and tenants and people who have children in the complexes need to know that everything's being managed well.
But what was it, I remember it now, it was that she explained the process and that there's phases and where we are in this process. We're in the second phase of like stage 3. We're not even done with exploring or investigating, right?
Phase 1.
It's phase 1? Well, I remember, I wrote it.
No, we're in phase 1.
All right, so I wrote it wrong. The point is that, my point is essentially that she was explaining the process. And I had never heard that before, even though I have been in meetings with Essence, and this was a topic that had come up.
So, I mean, they have the right, they can demolish years before anything will happen, but
Well, no, they have a problem. They have to have people out of the buildings.
I'm saying they're evicting people.
No, there are holdouts, there's legal actions happening, and they have not, it's just so everyone knows, NYCHA has not started the notices, they have not started the termination proceedings on the holdout tenants in 401 West 19th Street, nor in the senior building on 26th Street. They have not started it. What has happened since we met last is that various members of the mayor's office, the new mayor's office, have had meetings unannounced with tenants and very top-heavy kind of meetings, and then surprisingly, door knockings by the deputy mayor on people's doors. And I find that very egregious.
Very.
Because the imbalance of power,
This is deputy.
in December, it was a deputy mayor who is now the new mayor for housing and planning, Layla Borzog. She did it in December. But since that time, Sia Weaver, a major consultant on housing to the mayor, and Layla Borzog have gone and talked to people individually and directly and knocked on their doors. I find that process, it is such an imbalance. It doesn't mean that, thank God they're interested, right? That's a great thing. But if you're a senior citizen or you're someone who is dug in and angry, you have to all work, the whole community to get to where you're going, right? And not, so yes, now, the deputy mayor now, yes.
You had an idea, where their knowledge bases come from about this issue, the folks are not going to do it. Well, sure, latest talk. No,
I say Layla Borzog, the deputy mayor, not.
No, I'm just asking, where do we think that they've gotten that?
From NYCHA.
They've got it from NYCHA, not from the neighborhood, not from.
Oh, no, there has.
We're not gonna talk to them.
But that's the letter we just sent. That was that discussion last night. We sent the letter saying, come and meet and work and collaborate and work, so we all work together to get to somewhere. You had a question?
You don't think related is gone to them?
Related is not the most favorite of this particular mayor.
Yeah. I'm shocked.
But NYCHA is, they haven't done their turnover and stuff yet. They're working. I'm saying, again, I give this mayor time and grace to figure out as we're going through. There's got to be some solution here that is not all in. I mean, that's what we've been talking about for a long time. So that's sort of report. Yes, Katie.
I'm a little confused, and maybe Lisa, this is what you started asking, but so we understand that this environmental, the brownfield process is gonna be long, multi-stage and everything, so that's helpful to know. But I think it's really important information for us to have, like, when is the earliest that those two buildings could be demolished?
That would be,
And so it sounds like you're saying, Joe, that it is important to note that NYCHA hasn't started the termination proceedings that for the public. But I guess my question is, so when they do start the termination proceedings, how long? What is the shortest amount of time that those termination proceedings could occur?
Lucy Newman from the Legal Aid Society met with the board and informed us a standard course of action. 6 months to 12 months is normal for termination proceedings from start to end.
Okay. And so then I guess it sounds like you're saying, and the only sort of faster possibility is if the city or somebody convinces the holdout tenants to move.
Right.
And if that, so is if the buildings are empty.
Yes.
Or they move because they've agreed or they move whatever, because they've been terminated. Once the buildings are empty, is there anything else that has to happen?
Related has said it will be 12 to 18 months for demolition.
To start or to be?
After tenants are out, a 12 to 18 month period for abatement like asbestos, things like that, and demolition before they could start to dig.
And that's prior to brownfield remediation as well, or? are you
Yes.
Putting brownfield.
No, you can't do brownfield remediation until the buildings are gone.
So the demolition will take 12 to 18 months, and then the brownfield remediation will happen subsequent to that, and then prior to. the
Right,
construction of any-
I thought maybe you were trying to get to. There could be concurrent review and approval of brownfield remediation during the demolition period.
That makes sense.
But it doesn't mean, they're not sequential,
They cannot start.
but they cannot start,
Remediation.
they can't start the actual remediation. And then there's a whole thing we got into with the DEC folks. It's not just the digging up, it's trucks, removal, the way they move around. I didn't realize there's things they can put dust on that solidifies, like there's all these very specific things.
But I guess the only thing, I just wanna make sure that we are communicating with our community. Like. If all of a sudden demolition starts, like buildings are literally being knocked down, if it starts, in July. Or September or whatever, and because the city or.
No, I will tell you, DEC laughed at that. They said it's never gonna happen.
But wait, I think you were
I
getting
guess
to something.
what I'm saying is like, I just want us to let people know the earliest that the demolition could happen. I don't want us, when we're talking about, this, the brownfield stuff, it's gonna take a long time. I don't want people to say like, hey, no, you told us it was gonna take a long time and all of a sudden the damn buildings are coming down. I just want us to be super clear with people, that the two are not directly linked, but the demolition can happen in less than the 12 to 18 months that the first stage of the brownfield can happen. I want people to know. And
No.
feel misled by us.
Right.
Yeah. Directly from DEC, like can DEC?
We have already requested that.
Timetable, yeah.
Yeah, but it is again, it's stop points, right?
Yeah, so I
It's-
think it'd be good to share the DEC information with the community.
Yeah.
Not saying, well, the community board is saying, no, DEC is saying, because they're the authority.
Right, but it sounds
We
like.
can ask Jesse to add that to the information page on our website. It already is there that is providing information on the entire project. And so if the actual information, as Katie has suggested from DEC, is being posted, it's not the community board that's informing, it's the facts that we all are getting at the same time.
Yeah, we actually asked to make changes to that webpage. So we also post the brownfield reports that we have from in other words, we gotta get a place that all this information can live.
Yeah.
And it's great to have other agencies that are part of this, so it's very clear.
But also, understandable, right? Because the
Oh.
stuff might not be happening for a little while. We
A
have to,
summary.
like, what people really care about is Yeah, when is the earliest supposed to have the list?
Right, and so I think one thing you have to say here is that we're gonna get some from legal aid because they will say how long the termination process will take.
Yeah.
Once it starts, the problem is we don't even have dates on a lot of
They're
this.
clearly trying to not even do a termination process, right? They're clearly trying to convince people to leave without filing the termination.
They're trying to avoid very, very bad publicity if they're on the ready.
Right, so.
Well, also, the last piece to tie it together is there's multiple legal actions now. And I am going to take those legal actions and definitely put them on our Dropbox. I got them in total. There's a TRO on the whole project. There's specific legal actions on the legality. I mean, like there's so much activity happening here. Everyone needs to understand that we're not, it's very hard to say that this will happen tomorrow because there's a lot of indeterminates. Lisa.
I just wonder if, are we also tracking, or should we be also tracking, I mean, the people have already left, right? Do we know where they went and are they okay?
Those people have gone within the complex,
Okay.
within the two
And they're
campuses.
okay.
Some are grumbling, but
All right, are we gonna sort of track that?
well,
Because there won't be vacancy.
we have a community board has asked specifically how many people are left. NYCHA will not tell us. But we know because of other, Katie, if I knew why NYCHA would tell us that, that'd be, it's friggin' public information. Yes, Rachel.
So I wanted to make sure that whatever information that we are posting, like so I'm on the CD4 website right now, there is a section of that. Is that what we're thinking of? Because it's a long.
Yes, and actually, we talked to Jesse about, and I'm gonna ask you, because you might be helpful here. Can we reorganize this in a way that is more consumable? I really want this to be much more user-friendly for the public.
I do see the merit and value of having, so the current page that I'm looking at for everyone who doesn't. Is a long list of all that CB4 has done on this project and, you know, kind of linking to the presentations, letters and, you know, the working group. I think there is value in still having this here, but to your point, a digestible, quick summary, latest and greatest, when my demolition happens, tomorrow, next day, that should be accessible a bit differently from this.
Like an
And-
FAQ.
Yes, and this is something I am hoping to work on as second vice chair is just that community outreach point that Katie mentioned is. How do we then let people know, go to this link, right? I keep saying QR code, I'm becoming like a QR code, you know, promoter here, but I can't think of better solutions. If you have other ideas to help get this out and to what listserv, you know, is it gonna be at some of the meetings that you have where a lot of the residents are?
I really
I'm
think,
gonna defer that to you.
no, but I really think, just thinking a little 30,000 feet for basic public consumability as a companion to this and reorganize this at the same time is key. Because we want to dispel the fog of misinformation. Because
Letting people know where that is, or just presenting out there, one page flyer, put it up.
To have it be the source of truth.
Yes.
There isn't a source of truth.
I know, and also, I mean, we're also talking among ourselves, like we really believe from the board's end that we need to have a related to have a representative. It's not Jamar Adams from Essence, who truly makes a presentation and does not even, in the one presentation that I saw, his response to PS33 was we're gonna put air filters in to deal with this dust in the ventilation system. And we sat there and the superintendent said, the AOE said, we don't have that kind of ventilation system. Because the building's built in 1942 or something. Like it was this moment of like.
It's pretty, but.
Right, but I'm saying, yeah, it was HEPA filters, like, you can't put those in, so it's this moment of like, we need to have someone from Related who's really driving this, not the PR person responding to the serious community concerns.
Or kind of fine tuning on the action we're taking afterwards, so.
Yeah.
Dolores suggested we talk to Jesse. We have a working group now, can they help us with this?
The answer is yes, but I think this is, we should bring this up, but I think, I look at you, 'cause you're a really good organizer. Yes, you. And then anybody else who can help put eyes on this to say, does this function work? To make it more consumable, maybe Roberta, Lisa, like, you know, like all you guys together, look at it. Because we need someone from the outside, like not the outside, but like the broader point of view. What does that mean? Like if there's a question, when can demolition start? You know, demolition cannot start until all tenants move out. And one action is people move out voluntarily, the other one is for there to be a termination proceeding. Because termination proceeding will take this, like that, like, just like facts, you know, like, it's not about,
FAQ we worked on that.
Right.
time ago, a while
right,
ago.
and I'm saying, it's not like, you know, it's not about positions, it's sort of like just information,
It's facts.
it's facts.
Because we could use that, we meet, CCBA meets, once a month, and we have no facts. You have people coming who really present, untruths, or lie, have their own side they want to present.
Right, I'm
So the community, the block associations need a place to get the truth, not one-sided, two-sided, wherever it's coming from, but they need a spot to get the truth. Because we got all kinds of people running for offices, saying one thing, and we got people, elected officials saying another thing. And at CCBA, it's really, it's ridiculous.
I mean, listen, I had a moment.
Nobody knows what the truth is.
I had a moment with one of our electives where I was told, well, you know, there's not really a brownfield issue here. I'm like, I read the reports. Like, I read them and they're really dense and annoying, but I know what hexavalent chromium is. I know what every
But
benzene,
we just need to
benzene,
know, and a block station, that, with the time frame for that.
Right.
Right, and then just what we talked about from 10,000 feet up, right?
Right.
What the time, and when they can start, and when you can expect the building to go down, not all the details of what's in the soil and
Right,
all
right.
that. Just what somebody wants to know, when's that building gonna come down?
Well, that's
these
something we talked
things-
about also in the working group.
Yeah. But the block associations really, I'm just talking about CCS, it's the only one I want to, but there's a lot of block associations. And they sit around every month and they got people coming in telling all kinds of stuff. And they have public speakers coming in, take
I think this simple, this
So they
FAQ
really need a
idea
spot
really
for the
helps.
information.
Really helps, like, it's just like basic,
It will.
like, here's the
It'll
process.
clear up a lot of the.
I did that in July, the board didn't approve it.
What?
You did what?
Men's first facts for the town hall. I made a whole document.
Okay, so, well, let's go back and start. David.
What was the issue?
Joe,
Consensus, yes.
with the time, I mean, 2018 was came to my, to hearing. And there was a breaking, so there's a time. And Jesse, right, and I spoke with him about this, so it's done but later, I'm running a studio right now, teaching students about FEC.
At Columbia.
At City College.
City College.
And part of the problem was, when they go through this calculation, it's pretty hard. Jesse had a point, he said, I can't do it, I only call what a committee board does. So I had suggested to him, there's a time when we saw this, and where we are, and along that time, you can categorize. Exactly how you want it, so there's a model that does it.
What I like though is that the members of this committee are interested or willing to engage with this.
Yeah.
Do we need help, Brian?
I'm gonna suggest that we do this idea that I'm gonna call it a mind map. So we've got a lot of different topics we have to discuss. We're discussing the brownfield cleanup, we're discussing the buildings, we're tracking people. And so there's this idea where, we kind of break things up, right? Building details, right? Old, new, and environmental findings. And I don't know how to do this on the website, that's not what I do, but you basically would sort of say like, there'd be a link to subject findings, right? From the brownfield report, and it would have the documents, which are quite long actually. But I think we have to organize it like that because there are I have 10 questions, everyone has 10 questions, there are tens of millions of questions. I think that's how we have to organize it, sort of by mind map topic.
By subject.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we want to just open
What's
this,
front and center for the residents?
well, we want to open this discussion up just to have a general thing. We have a working group, we'll bring it back there.
Yeah.
But I think the working group alone is not gonna be able to solve all this or do all this work, that's all. Katie.
I think it's just such a great idea for us to put together this little FAQ and have it organized in a way that people can then go dive deeper if they want to. One thing I will just say is that we don't want to be in a position of responding when people, we just want to put out the facts as we know.
The hard facts.
The hard facts.
It's an information site, it's not a question and answer.
And it's not a position site.
Because if we think that we're gonna start like, oh, here, send us your questions, well, you have to.
No.
It's information.
Let's
say to you your question. And the answer.
I mean, yeah, good, and also we know that the answers sometimes are moving targets, right? Like, it gets me very concerned about the timeline, because boy, I have seen like 25 timelines so far. all we can say is what's happened so far.
I don't mean that.
You meant the engaging the board.
What's happened?
Interaction between.
Past timeline.
Yeah.
And. That he has, he's already organized that. He can actually make.
Right, but I think right now, how it's set up, the user has to work too hard to get the information, right? That's what we want to make sure, makes it easier, no matter who you are in the community, a block association member, a tenant, or someone looking at this from the outside. Lisa?
And none of the documents that we share are understandable to the average community member, so there's value to a summary.
Katie,
There's something that's not all techie and jargony.
Right, to this point, then they can dig deeper if they want, because that information would be underneath.
So I think we have resolve, guys, I think we have resolve here, at least a bit of a plan, and we had a lot to discuss tonight. The updates were chunkier than we expected. And is there a motion to adjourn this? meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Charles has a question.
I normally don't do this, so let me just get this one out. It goes back to what Katie mentioned, but also what Joe and I talked about last night.
Yeah.
I do think at some point we've got to decide at what point do we let buildings do what they need to do and then come back to us, because the
What do you
neighborhood,
mean buildings?
meaning like on 49th Street.
Oh.
Like just because eventually we might have more people coming with more issues and we can't attend to everybody every month. So at some point, I do agree with you that we have to decide, okay, we've gotten to this point. Go back and then come to us whenever, but I just really feel that we're only hearing from certain people in the community, and I believe that there are other people that might.
So just want to note, it's always gonna be the folks that have the most trouble.
I get
that come and knock on this door, right? And we spend time with them, and pretty much, I will tell you, we had a whole bunch of ladies from St. Joseph's and they went away. Now we have a building coming back. My experience is they come and they go, kind of thing.
But this one stayed a while.
Well, no, it's not a while.
Okay.
This thing on 49th Street is a minimal exposure to some of the issues we've had with groups of tenants who have had humongous issues that we've been trying to help.
So motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all those in favor, raise your hand. No one abstaining, right? Okay. Thank you all. Good night.
Good night.